What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Gianni Peccati career mode in EA UFC 4. And obviously, if you haven't watched the previous episodes, I do recommend you go watch them. But we have secured ourselves a spot in Dana White's Contender Series. I don't know if you can actually go straight to the UFC. I believe so, because in the last video they had like a little thing that said like going to Tough, going to the Contender Series, or going straight to the UFC. I believe that's probably how it works, like depending on how you perform. But I believe that, we probably could have gone straight to the UFC, but Dana White wants to see us fight one more time, and I believe that Gianni Peccati is going to win this fight 100%. This is kind of the main hub of the new career mode menu type of thing. Like, I don't know if it's a lot better than last year. I don't think it's really worse, because one thing I will say is that now training is all manually done, and obviously this is where you accept a fight. You can unlock information like watching tape on them to learn about their skill set, their best moves, their overall. You can learn a few things like also their tendencies, like some either things they do pretty often or mistakes they make often. So they do give you a bit more depth in terms of what you can do in terms of learning about your opponent and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't really know if it's an incredible system, because like realistically, if you're watching this, if you're playing this game, you're more than likely very familiar with at least the best guys that are in each division. So realistically, you don't really need to know anything about that. Like there's absolutely no need for me to go and study Khabib. There's no need for me to go and study really anybody in the top 15 of any division. So it's just kind of like, it's kind of a waste of time. Obviously, still do it just because maybe the game has some kind of weird stuff to it. But it is what it is. Johnny, here's the deal. Dana White can get the first round KO or submission. You're guaranteed a UFC contract. Anything else depends on what they think of your performance. Let's make it easy. Yeah, no shit. Wow, great info, man. Great info, you dumbass. Anyway, Bailey Levy is going to be our opponent, 10-3. We're just going to go ahead and skip straight to fight week. I'm not going to show you guys training, because all it is basically like, if you want to do boxing training, you just hit the bag and they tell you what combos to do. Same thing with kickboxing. Grappling, it's basically the same thing. It's just kind of you do like, I don't know, 20 seconds of whatever the combinations or grappling things they want you to do, and then you just kind of do open sparring or something. It's alright. I'm not going to say it's awesome, but it is what it is. It's not the best, let's just put it that way, but I would probably say it's a step up in quality over last year's. The only issue is that it takes a lot longer than last year, so I guess if you're just trying to go through a quick career mode, that's probably not the best. But I feel like it is a lot more hands-on. And one thing I will say is that you actually do get points for training. So your moves actually level up while you're in training as well. So it's not like, it's like, it's not like last year where it's like, I want to do level 5. I want to do level 5 elbows, so I'm going to train with Paul Felder. I'm going to, something stupid like that. No, it's like, when you're training, when you're just doing open sparring, if you land a bunch of head kicks, your head kicks will eventually improve. So it's not just in fights or if you're training a specific move, it's actually everything you do. Every time you throw that move, if it lands, there's a chance it'll improve. So that is something I do like. That's probably the only good thing I will say about training. Other than that, let's just go ahead and go into the fight. And obviously, Gianni Peccati is just going to be a step above Levy. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he's just a monster of a fighter. So there's no question who's going to win this fight, in my opinion. Now, obviously, Gianni Peccati might get knocked the fuck out. But so far, so good. I mean, just look at the ground and pound here. It's devastating. Levy looks like he might go to sleep already. He actually is able to sweep it, though. That's pretty embarrassing for Peccati. For a smasher, man, yes, he was smashing, but he's got to be able to hold the hips of his opponent / porn star friend, whatever. I don't know. He's not Johnny Sins, so he's just cousins. Maybe he doesn't have the same kind of hip control that his cousin has, but still, you gotta do better than that. I mean, goddamn, come on. Anyway, what's this guy's name? Not Daniel Levy. That's the guy who owns Tottenham Hotspurs. No, I can't remember what this. Bailey Levy or something. He's actually doing pretty well on top right now. Johnny's not really looking like he has a lot to say about it, but he's able to get back up. All right, on the feet. Despite being a wrestler, he should be a lot better, because obviously I'm a lot better on the feet. So, actually, his stamina got destroyed right there. But he hurts Levy pretty bad. The overhand is there. He goes up to level 2, which is always good to see. The head kick. Those are 8 evolution points, which, of course, you can use to improve specific moves. And it looks like it might be over, but Levy survives again. Peccati lands a huge knee. Now it has to be over, man. You can't survive this shit. He survives again. This guy's chin is absurd. At least this guy's heart's absurd. I mean, Jesus Christ. Overhand doesn't really land. The uppercuts land twice. Look at that. Uppercut goes up to level 2 already. This poor fucker's getting beat down. but at least Johnny is using it to get huge boosts. The head kick is there. He needs to finish him in the first round. And there it is, thankfully. With 23 seconds left, able to finish the fight and go to the UFC. Also, up to level 3 already with ground strikes. I think it's like straight ground strikes. So obviously, we're improving pretty fast. I mean, Gianni Peccati is getting good pretty damn fast. I mean, obviously 2 stars, 3 stars, it's not great, but it's a hell of a lot better than 1 star. So he's already getting pretty good at this shit. And I'm happy to see that because it's going to be important to have these stats up pretty high once he gets to the UFC. Because obviously, you know, lower level UFC guys, I don't believe that the game has that many fighters. So I think we're going to immediately be going up against relatively good fighters. I don't think, based on what little I have seen around, that they throw you against guys that are like made up and stuff like that in the UFC. Now that could be something that happens, but in previous games, you would fight, you know, a bunch of random made up people for the first, you know, 3 or 4 fights of your UFC career, depending on how well you do, and then you start to fight real people. I've seen a few videos just to kind of get a little bit of a grasp of how things work with evolution points. I wanted to know how everything works specifically. And I will say, I believe that they just throw you straight to the wolves. And this is kind of an interesting thing, too. They give you a regular contract, but they've also added these bonuses. And then you can choose which ones you want. Some you have to unlock later on. And they have difficulties. And, of course, depending on which one you choose, they give you bonuses in popularity, in money, etc. Obviously, the one I would care about the most is money, because I feel like that's probably the most important thing in everything, sports-wise. So, obviously, I'm going to go with the money. The popularity doesn't really matter at this point in time. All fights are going to be low hype anyway, so who cares? And yeah, it's just kind of a matter of finding the right one that fits for us. I feel like exiting 3 fights without an injury, that's not really in our hands, because next thing you know, maybe the game does some kind of broken ass shit because it's an EA Sports game and you like break your finger or something like that. So I don't want to risk that to start off with, because I want to have more money. Can't say no is kind of funny. In shape, it's just every time in peak fitness, which probably isn't the best. 1 first round finish I think is too easy. Knockout machine, win 3 fights by knockout. That's the one to go with. 45,000 bonus, because if we're gonna win a fight, it's gonna be a knockout. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Very, very rare that we win a decision. So let's just go with it. There's 4 fights anyway. All you have to do is win 3 out of 4 by knockout. Matt Brown is calling us out, which is funny. Matt Brown's washed up as hell. UFC wants to make the fight and send us an offer. What do you think? You can improve relationship with fighter. Not here to make enemies right away. I need to learn still. I'll review the fight offer and accept. Or you can taunt the fighter and say, never heard of that bum. I'll call him out on social media and maybe get some eyes on the fight. So obviously, Gianni Peccati is not going to be a nice guy. He's going to go after that belt and he wants to get there as fast as possible. And if the immortal Matt Brown wants to talk shit, he's gonna get got. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Matt Brown was actually one of my favorite fighters for a while, and you might think nowadays like, oh man, that's hilarious. But there was a while where I don't know. He seemed like he was one of those guys where he wasn't necessarily gonna be a monster. Like he wasn't necessarily the best. Like there was no doubt about that. His best win is over Eric Silva, or at least it was at the time. And I never really thought he was gonna be anything special. But every time the guy fought, you knew it was going to be a hell of a fight, or at least extremely entertaining. So he was one of my favorite fighters for a while. But if you're talking shit about my main man Gianni Peccati, man, you're losing that Pupillo status very quick. And this is just something that's absolutely hilarious. Of course, with the regular fighters, it looks a little bit less retarded. But look at Gianni Peccati right here, man. Like, whose idea was it to put this shit in the game, man? It's just so funny. It's just so stupid. It's like, this is why I say, it's like they took this game from being a relatively, I'm not going to say realistic because there was nothing realistic about the game, but they were at least trying to seem like they were trying to make a realistic game. And all they've done is made an absolute shit show of a game in terms of the cringe and in terms of the comedy. It's super arcadey. It's almost like, you know, a shit Street Fighter version of UFC because, I don't know, it's super stupid. There's nothing serious about the game anymore, and it's just, yeah, I don't think it's a step in the right direction in terms of presentation and all that, especially because the menus are shit, the character models are shit. But the bottom line is, right now, Gianni Peccati has to get through his very first actual UFC opponent, Matt Brown. See if he can beat him, because a win over Matt Brown doesn't really mean much in terms of getting yourself into the top 15. but it's still beating Matt Brown. And I think he actually came back from retirement now. I'm not sure if he went back into retirement or what, but I definitely wish he would stay in retirement. I feel like he's a guy who's taken a lot of damage, not just from his fighting career, but also he's been very open about his drug issues in his youth. He's had a lot of problems. Of course, he actually died and then came back over a drug overdose. So he's done a lot of damage to his body, and the fact that he's in there with an absolute animal like Gianni Peccati, it's not good for his health. The leg kick is solid right there. I really do think that's going to be a move that could improve quite a bit. And once it does, I think it's going to be devastating. I've seen that leg kicks are a lot less efficient in this game. They're only effective if you really time it correctly. And that's kind of annoying because I really do like leg kicks, but it is what it is. Went in for a takedown. I guess nothing really came out of it, but he gets hurt. Gianni Peccati's hurt. Thankfully, he recovers well. Matt Brown doesn't really go in for the kill right there. And, of course, he gets hurt by a nice head kick. He gets sent to the ground. Gianni Peccati should have gone into the kill there, but I guess he feels very confident on the feet. The uppercuts land. This time he's going to the ground. He's going to try to finish him. It looks like, no, he wants the knockout on the feet. Uppercuts again, man. He's not defending the uppercuts. He's looking like Alexander Gustafsson. Or Glover Teixeira, I should say. Oh, my God, man. Oh, another uppercut. What's this man's defensive strategy? Just take it? His chin hasn't been good pretty much ever, so, I mean, I guess his chin is way better than his liver, but still, I mean, good fucking God. There he goes again. Keep your damn hands up, Matt. Gianni Peccati has to finish him now. Has to be over. There's no way he can survive this. He's in mount. He's just going to go in for the kill, and it's over. I kind of felt bad for him because as soon as he pulled out the arm, and that was actually a pretty brutal one. I will say that I do like that animation a lot more, to where you have your opponent on the fence, and instead of just kind of standing in front of him and pounding him, which a lot of times you still do that, you know, they also they sweep the arm and they go in for the kill brutally, and it is a lot better to see, and I do think it's a lot more fun. So, I mean, the game still has a lot of problems, and like I said, I don't really know if it's a step in the right direction. But there are some things that are better than before, and this is definitely one of them. The ground and pound animations are a lot better. It's more fluid. It doesn't seem like you're just like, pop, pop, pop. It actually feels like, you're dropping bombs, you're raining on somebody. So it's definitely better from that point of view. Matt Brown, just retire, man. I mean, there's no point in you continuing. There's no shame in losing to a future champion like Gianni Peccati, but you really do need to retire. Herb Dean, good thing you didn't, have shit the bed this time with a stoppage. Matt Brown could have died. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Knockout Machine, 1 out of 3 done. So it'll be interesting to see who comes up next for Gianni Peccati as an opponent. Hopefully it'll be somebody a bit more difficult. And one thing I will say about the old games that I liked more is the fact that because you go against a bunch of made-up characters in the early part of your UFC career, you do actually feel a huge jump in quality of the opponents once you get to the ranked fighters. Whereas now, Matt Brown should never be this easy to beat. I mean, unless you're a truly elite fighter. Maybe Johnny is, but, Matt Brown should still be a tough test for pretty much everybody. So that's one thing I will probably say that's in favor of the other game, but at the same time you were fighting fake people, whereas now you're immediately fighting actual UFC fighters, which is also a good thing. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comments if you believe that Gianni Peccati is going to be a top welterweight in the world. Obviously, UFC has the best fighters in the world, so it'll be interesting to see him against Masvidal, Woodley, etc., and of course, Usman. And we'll see you guys in the next video.